Welcome to our series on trigonometry. Here are three related questions. We need to find general solution of trigonometric equations, and you see in all the three equations we have tan x equals to DNE, where DNE means does not exist. Similarly, we have secant x equals to DNE, secant x does not exist, and cosecant x does not exist. Well, explore the playlist to understand better and get practice on similar questions. Let's begin with the very first problem, which is the value of tan of x does not exist. So DNE. Couple of ways to look into this. One is we know that tan x is the ratio of sine over cos. And of course, cos x should not be equal to 0, since you cannot divide by 0. So definitely the value of tan x will not exist when the x value will give cosine x as 0, right? So wherever if cos x equals to 0 means tan x does not exist. Makes sense, right? Simple as that. So the bigger question is, when is cos x equals to 0, right? So we can look into the cosine function. The wave, cosine wave, is kind of like this, right? Periodic, it repeats. So at 0 it is 1. And you can see that cos x is not 0 at a couple of points, which are 90 degrees, 270 degrees, and so on, right? If you're working in degrees. So let's write down here. So we know that cos x equals to 0 for x equals to odd multiples of 90 degrees, correct? So general solution means odd multiples, right? 90, 270, and so on, right? So we can write this as 2n plus 1. This gives you an odd number, odd multiples of 90 degrees, correct? Where of course n belongs to integers. N could be plus minus 1, plus minus 2, and so on. Those of you who are working in radians, for them we could write the same expression as 2n plus 1 times pi by 2 radians, right? Where n belongs to integers. So cos x equals to 0 at these points, and therefore the solution for tan x does not exist is the same, right? So it could be, depending on you want to write in radians or in degrees. So you can write 2n plus 1 times pi by 2 or 90 degrees. So I hope that is absolutely clear. Great. Now what really happens at these points? We have a vertical asymptote, right? So let me also sketch a graph for tan x just to give you a better idea. It is kind of like this, right? Always increasing in its domain from minus 90 to plus 90, correct? So this is minus 90 degrees, that is plus 90 degrees, or pi by 2 minus n plus pi by 2, correct? And of course it repeats, so you could do like this, correct? So that is how you could visualize from the graph itself that tangent function does not exist for odd multiples of 90 degrees or pi by 2. Perfect. Now that should help you to answer part 2, question number 2 and 3 also. Let's look into question number 2 now, which is secant x does not exist. When will that happen? Well, that means 1 over cos x. correct? And as we saw, those values when cos x equals to 0, right? Those are the answers. So we have exactly same answer here. So we can say x equals to odd multiples of 90 degrees, or it is 2n plus 1 times pi by 2, where n belongs to set of integers. Is that clear to you? Right. So if you want to sketch this function, you could always sketch it. First, draw the cosine wave, right? Kind of like this. Right. There's a cosine wave. And when we want secant function, then at zeros, we have the vertical asymptotes, correct? You could continue on this side also, the left hand side. And the cosecant function will be like vertical asymptotes at pi by 2 minus pi by 2. Like this, right? So that becomes the secant x. So it does not exist at odd multiples of 90 degrees or pi by 2. Right, so that brings us to the last question, which is we want now cosecant x does not exist. Basically 1 over sine x does not exist. So when is sine x equals to 0? That is what we need to figure out, correct? So as far as the sine function is concerned, let me sketch one wave here. Okay, we have repeated that wave. Zeros for sine are these, correct? So if we, let's say, start with the, let me start from here. And let's say this is like 0, this is pi, 2 pi, minus pi, like that. You may write 180 degrees, 360 degrees, and so on, right? Minus 180 degrees. So you can see that it is multiple of 180 degrees, right? So we can write x equals to 180 times n, or pi n, right? Or you can write n pi, where n belongs to set of integers. Make sense? So that is where cosecant x does not exist, right? So we have our solution, either one of them depending on which units you want to use. I hope it makes sense. Very important. Feel free to write a comment, share your views. If you like and subscribe to my videos, that'd be great. Thanks for your valuable time and all the best.